Look, the reality is men are giving up. Men are giving up across the board, across every area of life. Men are just giving up. They're giving up on women. They're giving up on their jobs, money. They're giving up on their locations. They're literally moving from locations. They're just going to different places that are suiting them, right? They're giving up on a lot of things. And it's almost breaking down society because now all of the structures that existed because of men are now getting broken down because men are deciding it's over with. Like, we're tired of it, right? So you got to understand why this is happening. So in the beginning, most men, when they're growing up, they're fed narratives. You have to understand life is just a series of narratives, right? You're living your life based on narratives that have been either fed to you or that you've created for yourself. And ideally, you've created them for yourself. But most people, they don't create these narratives for themselves. They adopt the narratives of other people. For example, you may have gotten the narrative from your mother around women that you need to be this nice guy and always give her flowers all the time and always be around her and always give her all of your time and just be the nicest person ever. Just bend over backwards for her, right? Like, prioritize her, put her on a pedestal, make sure she's always good. And you've tried to do this and nothing's worked for you, right? You've literally struck out with every single woman that you've tried to get with and you wonder why, right? And you go into this like disillusionment where like you're like now realizing like this narrative that I was fed was wrong. Then you transition into money, right? You may have been fed the narrative, probably either by your parents or just by society in general, that you go to college, you take out this huge student loan to go to college that you'll probably never be able to pay back or potentially pay back in a longer period of time. Go get a job, right? A 9 to 5 job, work that job, get promoted in that job, and then retire. And that is your financial freedom. There's so many narratives that are being thrown at us, right? And men are starting to wake up and they're like, whoa, this is not the narrative. This is not what is actually working for me. They look at, because social media has changed the game. The internet has changed the game, right? You're starting to see people who are exposing these different narratives, who are actually going against these narratives and finding alternative ways to do things. For example, like building personal brands on social media, making money off of it, right? Off the back of their big audience that they've built. They're able to provide value and make money off of it, while the other person is busting their ass working a job and worrying about paying their next thing, right? So there's like these narratives that are being shattered in real time because there's more transparency, right? By the way, if you're interested in doing that, if you're somebody who you're at the 9 to 5 spot and you want to actually evolve and you want to build yourself and you want to build more influence with yourself, right? You've maybe accomplished some things in real life. Link is in the description. Tap in with me. Work with me for personal branding if you're interested in building your personal brand on YouTube, building an audience, building influence, and building a legacy, right? And making money at the same time. So there's that. But you have to understand that there are so many things that are occurring now to where men are literally at a point where they're just done. And I get it because I've been there in multiple stages of my life. I've been fed information about this specific thing. Hey, go do this because this was the right thing. You're basically getting pulled into other people's narratives. I want to bring up the narrative point because I don't think men understand that life is made of a series of narratives. Like literally, everybody is in a narrative. The government feeds you a narrative. Your teachers have fed you a narrative. Your mother fed you a narrative. The woman that you're with could potentially feed you a narrative if you don't create your own narrative and have her follow your narrative. This is real talk. You have to understand that everybody is trying to push a narrative. So you as a man, I get it. You're kind of to the point where you're done. You hate everything that's going on. Every structure is against you. I get it. This may be true. But at the same time, you have to now understand I need to create my own narrative. I need to literally create my own narrative. Even visual narrative, right? You may have been overlooked. Your narrative that you have is that you're overlooked. People don't respect you. People don't even look your way when you walk around. You literally get zero attention for anything. Right? So you've already gotten to the point in your head where you're like, I don't even care about attention. I don't want attention. So you walk away and you cope with the idea of like, I don't even need people, right? Even though dealing with people is how you become wealthy. That's how you move forward in life. You have to deal with people, fortunately and unfortunately. But you have this narrative in your head about that. And now it's time to flip the narrative. Now, okay, Build a visual narrative for yourself about how you look. Go to the gym, get in shape, right? Dial in on nutrition, dial in on training. I always say this, right? Get down to 15% body fat, change your image. This now builds a visual narrative that goes into your favor. You can't look at life like everything is just like, woe is me. Like everything that's so bad is happening to you and you can't change anything and everything is just so bad. You can't look at life like that because that's not how life truly is. Life is all about creating a narrative and persuading other people to follow your narrative. You may be in a relationship where literally you feel like you're getting nothing out of the relationship. Or with women that you talk to, you feel like you're just not getting what you want. Change the narrative or create a narrative. Stop following their narratives that they're giving you. Women are trying to feed you their narrative. Oh, I want you to be so nice. And I just want you to like always be around. And I want you to just, they'll always feed you that narrative. But at the same time, they're following another dude's narrative that's nothing like what they're describing, right? So you have to create your own narrative in every aspect of your life. Even money, right? How you make money. I told you this. Create your own narrative. How do you want to make money? How much money do you want to make, and what does that look like? What are the things that you want to do to actually create that? Don't follow the society's narrative. Oh, I got to go get a job. I got to go get a job. I need a no. Like, go get one if you really, really need one, but know that you don't need to do that to be financially free. There are other ways to go about that, right? So that's why I feel like men are just kind of withdrawing from society, because the narratives that have been fed to them are literally just like not helping any aspect of their life whatsoever. It's almost like these narratives were purposely given to us to almost destroy our lives, to like cut our balls off, right? And make us just submissive as possible, make us to the point where we have zero power, zero control over our lives. And we're just sitting here and we're just trying to figure it out. And that may be you right now. You may feel like you have no control of your life. Well, the first thing that you start to control is your narrative. You have to change the narrative that goes through in your head about yourself, your self-image. That's a self-narrative, right? Then you have to create narratives around you about different things. Narratives of your ideal relationship, the ideal woman that you would like, and then get people who fit those narratives. Preach those narratives whenever you talk to people, because people always want to know your narrative, and people always want to know what narrative you're following, right? That's another thing. When you speak to women, they always want to know what narrative you're following. That's why they nowadays they talk about, oh, are you a liberal? Or like they'll ask you like random questions like, what do you think about LGBTQ? What do you think about this? It's a narrative. LGBTQ is a narrative. That's all it is. It's a narrative. And you either follow the narrative or you don't. Transgenderism, a narrative. You follow the narrative or you don't. Everybody's pushing their own agendas. Everyone's pushing their own narratives. Banks, the idea of banks, that's a narrative. That's a narrative that you've subscribed to in terms of where you put your money. And they're literally taking your money and making more money on top of it, making it seem like they're just holding it safe for you. It's a narrative. Everything is run on narratives. Can you not understand this? Your boss telling you you want to work as hard as possible to level up, and you want to get to the next stage in work, you want to get to the next stage in life. It's all a narrative that you follow. You put in your hard blood, sweat, and tears, and at the end of the day, you feel like, man, I was under rewarded because you were following a narrative, right? So you can't follow people's narratives. The greatest men create their own narratives. You look at someone like Elon Musk. This man created a narrative. You want to know what his narrative is? Humans are better off living on Mars. So we're going to go colonize Mars. So I'm going to create things that humans are going to use to colonize Mars. And people are going to pay me to do it. That's his narrative that he's pushing, right? All the most powerful people are pushing narratives, by the way. Donald Trump is pushing a narrative, right? Make America great again. That's a narrative. You either follow the narrative or you don't. Kamala Harris, as crazy as she is, pushing a narrative, right? Her narrative is twisted, but you get the point. Pushing a narrative. Again, I don't like either parties. I don't really care about politics, to be entirely honest with you. But everything is about pushing narratives. So why not push your own narrative in your life? Why not get other people learn to persuade people, bro? This is another thing I want to start teaching on this channel. It's just like dark psychology. Like, how do you get people to do what you want and get what you want? Like, That you have to learn how to do that. You have to learn how to convince people that your narrative is correct. It's all psychology. And it's all building stories. It's literally all that. So I hope this was beneficial for you. I hope you learned something. And I hope you are, you know, letting go and just figuring out your own way. Because you need to do that. You need to go figure out your own way. You need to figure out your new way of life that's going to actually help you, and stop following society, because society clearly is not serving any of us, like at all. Society is complete bullshit. All of it. And we're now figuring that out, and we're now trying to figure out our own infrastructures. We're trying to figure out our own ways of living. We're trying to figure out our own ways, our own families. We're trying to figure out the best way to find the best woman. Like, this is what we're doing. And we're not falling into narratives. Right? By the way, I'll give you a quick narrative that I had, right? This goes into interracial relationships. I never talk about this, but I want to. This is a narrative that most people in my community have, right? In terms of the black community. They hate when black guys, it's weird. It's usually black guys that are incels that have no relationships at all. So they don't even focus. They have nothing to focus on. So they have to focus on other people's relationships. And they always tell me, why are you with the white woman? I'm with the Romanian woman, right? Beautiful. Kind, loyal, all of that. All the traits that a man wants, she has it, right? And I get these men, it's weird, trying to sell me the narrative that I need to be with someone who looks like me in terms of race. That's a narrative. By the way, race is a narrative. Shit's not real. It was invented. All right? That's a fact. Race was invented. It's a narrative. It's all a narrative. But again, society pushes this thing. Oh, be with your own. Be with just black women. By the way, I love black women. Black women are great. I've had black women as friends. I've had black women as girlfriends. I've done that before. I've went that route. I have no issues. But I found someone that fits me. That fits every criteria that I want. So, the hell are you talking about? I'm like, you need to be with the black woman. A narrative. A bullshit narrative at that. So I'm definitely not going to be partaking in that. But it's just crazy. That's just an example that I like to give. People trying to push their own narratives at you, to try to change you, to try to influence you. Everyone's just pushing a narrative that they believe in their head, trying to get other people to follow those narratives, to then confirm that those narratives are even valid. That narrative that those men are trying to push on me is not valid. Because, bro, you're lonely. You're an incel. You're on your keyboard commenting under my posts with zero goals in life. You have no woman by you. Why would I listen to you? Why would I want your narrative? And this is what men are thinking across the board. They're like, wait, why would I want your narrative? My teacher told me, oh, go get a job. Why would I want your narrative? You're a teacher. You make $40,000 a year. Why would I listen to you? Like, huh? The narrative your parents give you. Oh, go get a really good job, Billy. Billy, go get a really good job. But your parents are literally, and no offense to your parents, respect to all your parents are barely making minimum wage, barely scraping by. Why would you listen to their narrative? Your single mom is literally trying to tell you how to get into relationships with women. She's single. Why would you listen to that narrative? Just think about the people who are creating these narratives and figure out if you actually should listen to them or not. Because this is why men are literally just exiting everything in society, because they're just tired of the hypocrisy of people who are not even fit to give them a narrative, trying to feed them a narrative. Right? I've gone on tangents across the board because it's just true universally. There's so many narratives that I can pull, but it's true. So go build your own narrative, create your own narrative, visual narrative, create your own financial narrative, create your own narrative across the board. And finally control your life, because if you don't control it, somebody else is going to control it. And I need all of you to control your lives, because that's the only way society is going to improve. is if men can finally control their lives. That's when society was at its best, when men were actually in control of their lives. Now, none. You're getting influence across the board to do things you don't even want to do, to be in relationships you don't even want to be in, to be with people you don't even want to be with, to do jobs that you don't even want to do. Slavery, modern slavery. All right? So conquer your life, man. And honestly, just watch this video again if you need to. And also, after you're done watching this video, go do something about it. All right? Appreciate you.